What's going on, folks? Little Sunday afternoon, Sunday special. We apologize for the little bit of lateness here. Great technical issues. And now I'm just waiting on Matt to kick back in. And I'm just telling him we are live. So I hope everybody's had an awesome weekend. And we have the man Richie Ramone, one of the surviving members of the Ramones. He will be joining us here momentarily. Let me just get my tardy co-host, Matt. And here we go. There he is.
Hey,
how's it going, buddy? We are live.
Mr. Ramone in the waiting room.
He is. Let's bring him in. Let's not make him wait any longer.
He likes to be called Richie, Trev, not Mr. Ramone or anything like that.
All right.
Thank you. Hey, Richie, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, Richie.
Can you see me?
Yes, sir. You see what we're
Yes,
working with.
sir.
How you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing good.
We appreciate you giving us some of your time. Sorry about the wait. I said we appreciate you giving us some of your time.
Yeah, I didn't know what was going on, you know?
Yeah.
Technical
We had
issues.
technical difficulties.
That's all right. Let me see if I can get your volume up. Okay. There you go. Yeah, I'm just on the phone, so I apologize to anybody watching this, you know. I'm just on the phone and stuff. But I'm in New Jersey at the New Jersey Horror Con.
Nice.
You know, chilling with, like, you know, the actors and shit from like Child's Play, and Lita Ford is here, and
Nice.
you know, Tam Glenn from Halloween 5 and all that stuff. So these are fun to do because I get to meet like a lot of cool people. And Naomi Grossman, who's, you know, the Gabba Gabba Hey, she played, you know, the freak, you know, so in the remake. So having a lot of fun.
That was one of the questions I had for you, was how was the horror con going?
Went really great. It's over now. It just ended at 5. And 3 days, you know, you got to sit out there at these tables, you know, it's probably like 25 celebrities and there's vendors, and, you know, I fought doing these things for a long time because I didn't want to feel like the goldfish in the bowl, you know, waiting for someone to come over, because it's expensive, and, you know, but what I found is there's a whole subculture of this, you know, and people like to do this and collect things, and they know they're going to get a nice photo with you, and they know that they're going to get this or get some sticks or whatever. And they don't really go to the concerts in that way. They are just fan people, and they enjoy this. They get to shake your hand, talk to you for a while. So why was I avoiding this thing, you know? And so I'm used to it now, and I have fun. Maybe I do 6 or 7 of these a year around the country. It's a lot of fun.
That's awesome. I would think that'd be a lot of fun. I mean, you know, there's like you said, there's a whole subculture of people that you know, they love that type of thing, you know.
They don't really go to concerts. I signed a baseball yesterday that had everybody: Tommy, Johnny, Joey, Marky, CJ. It had everybody's signature.
Oh, wow.
And this guy had it for, like, you know, whatever. And so you get to see stuff like that too, you know, real hardcore memorabilia where they missed your signature, and, you know, stuff like that.
Wild. Yeah. I was going to ask you, you know, Richie, what can you take us back to the time before you were in the Ramones, like what you were doing, like kind of like, you know, what you were up to and how you kind of got led up to, you know, getting in there. I mean, you know, I don't want to, you know, you don't got to tell all the details or nothing. Just, like kind of how you were feeling, and what you were up to.
Well, I was, I hope the reception's okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, you sound great, man.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. We're all
Yeah.
good.
So, no, I was just another kid who, was playing in bands, and then I started to get in original bands. I was playing around New York City. I played some shows with the Shirts. I used to date Annie Golden from those days back then. They used to play CBGBs, and I played in a band called Velveteen right before the Ramones. And so I was doing playing around in bands like that. And in fact, hanging out at the Shirts house, Larry, he was a drum roadie for the Ramones at the time, Larry Check. And he said, we were hanging out in the afternoon. He said, oh, the Ramones are holding auditions. And I said, what? I said, I put my name in the hat, because I wasn't really a fanboy. I had one record, I heard of them, but I come from a more funk background. My brother was a horn player, my older brother. So, it's a more diverse background, but I wasn't, in 1980, when, psychedelic furs and all that sound started coming over from Britain, that's when things changed for me, So it was pretty cool. So I was doing the thing just like any other musician, and then boom, I landed my first national act, and, I was able to do what I wanted and could walk around downtown 8th Street with $100 bill in my pocket, and, and just go in anywhere and buy a burger, and you know what I'm saying? Like, it was that type of thing. Life changed. It changed forever, and it's changed me forever to this day, because if I wasn't a Ramone, I wouldn't be here at these conventions.
Sure.
So
that's wonderful.
I mean, even outside of the Ramones stuff you've done, like you are like a composer musician as well. Like, so, like maybe you might not be doing these conventions per se, but you definitely have a talent for composing music and writing music. So you'd definitely be somewhere, Richie.
right, yeah, but you'd be at home doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had a guy come today. He knew all my songs. He would rattle off, oh man, I love the songs you wrote, Smash You, I love it. 70% of my drink, I love it, Humankind. He knew all that shit. And I was like, wow, that's so cool, man. It wasn't like a Wikipedia guy, you know what I'm saying? He had true feelings and knew what he was talking about. So it's kind of fun. That's why I do it.
I like some solo stuff, Richie. I sent Trevor one today. I said, man, he can sing, and you got a great voice. I'll fix it. That's a great song, man. I mean,
yeah.
That's a great one. It's got a good sound to it. I'll tell you what, you sing the shit out of that one. I was really impressed with that song when it came out, and then I didn't know if Trevor had ever heard it, so I sent it over to him today, and he liked it. I mean, it's good stuff,
Thank you.
So the first album that you were on was Too Tough to Die. Am I correct?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that was that's a good one. I think most Ramones fans, I'm sure you've heard this all the time. Most Ramones fans really regard that as a top-notch record. I mean, all of them really are. What do you have any good memories from that time period, like Too Tough to Die? Like probably a lot of good ones. Just the impression of the band.
Well, yeah, I mean, first of all, why it really stuck out is like there were two pretty sleepy albums the Ramones put out before that. One produced by Graham Gouldman from 10cc, and they were starting to get sleepy. The road was like, where do we go? At that time, early 80s, it was like, what's happening here? And when they got Tommy and Ed Stacey and back, and if you hear like the tom-tom sound on that album, it's just like thud. There's nothing electronic about that album as you get into what John Beauvoir did with more sampled sounds, and so that album became raw, tough. They had new blood in the band, and it just brought this whole thing together. And people always ask me, oh, what was it like in the studio? And You know, were they giving you direction? You know, I was a pro. I knew what to do. Once I knew I was going to the audition, I knew everything about the Ramones and knew how to play every song. You know, so I didn't go in there with a, you know, wishing about it. I knew.
Yeah.
And so, and all Tommy could say is, you know, I remember I went and said, "Is everything going good?" You know, he said, "You just keep doing what you're doing." You know, you hear the stories of Marky, how Tommy had to teach him the beat or all that fucking shit. It's just a polka beat going fast, you know, roll out the barrel, you know, you know, really. So it's more of an endurance test, and it's more of what I really did was lay it down and keep the meter really solid. You know, that's why Dave Stewart from the Eurythmics called me the human drum machine, because he wanted to put in the synths, and I didn't use a click track. And he said I was like a half a beat off from beginning to end. It was incredible. So he called me the human drum machine. So that was a compliment. And that's why I focused a lot on in my career, is how to stay steady with time, you know, playing to metronome so that, you know, you don't waver, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Those 16th notes, when you get over like on the ride or something, I'm a drummer, and those kill your arms. I mean, it's just the forearms just burn. Like, I mean, nothing I'd ever experienced before till I had started trying to, you know, drum, and I would drum along with the Ramones albums. I'd be like, you know, I can do it now, but it took years and years and years to, you know, work up to that. And you know, you just sit down and you just bam. I would be like, you know, just completely amazed. You know,
it took me time, you know, for that hi-hat. That's what I had to develop, because that's not a normal thing. You could take the greatest drummers in the world, they won't be able to play that all night long. I don't care who it is, you know, from metal or whatever. They're not doing this, you know. So, well, how am I really going to make my wrist strong? Because I really used a full-out wrist. I didn't do like just the Twinkie peak. You know, we just go like that. You know, I was more like this rather than just the finger moving the stick. So there was more of a hit, you know. So I practiced on pillows. Why? Because the stick didn't bounce back. So you had to really focus on making sure it came back. And that developed my wrist. And I'd sit there hours. And that's what I really got going for the Ramones. I mean, I see some of these, if you go back in time and you watch some of these things, that's full wrist action. They're fast. People go, "Oh, that was speeded up." No, it wasn't speeded up. We were flying. And there's something about playing fast and still keeping the groove. And that's what that band did in that particular era. We had a groove, and it was fast. It wasn't runaway, sloppy fast. It was just solid groove feeling. That's what music's all about.
One of the greatest compliments I think I'd ever heard bestowed, like, I mean, you know, like something said about you was Joey had said that the best thing that ever happened to the Ramones was when you were brought into the band, that you brought new life into the band, that there couldn't have been any better a person to have, you know, came in and played. And I thought to myself, I'm like, man, that for Joey seemed like a really great guy,
bought him a beer. I bought him a beer to say that. And you know how much mileage I got out of that beer over the years? Because everybody brings that up. That's I've got a lot of mileage out of that.
Yeah. I don't know, Richie. I think he meant it. I'm not sure. Oh, it's funny. It just I thought to myself, you know, he seemed like a really genuine dude. You know, Joey seemed like he was a genuine dude, and that had to make you feel pretty good to have him say some shit like that, you know. And because I mean, you did that. They were like you said, they were kind of, you know, straying, getting a little sleepy. I mean, I think it started at the end of the century with the Phil Spector stuff, you know, and they just didn't really they didn't come out of that, you know. And then you came in, it was like boom, back to, you know, right back to what they used to do. And you guys pulled out another, you know, 4 albums. I mean, that's it. I mean, good songs too. I mean, there's some real classics. I mean, people forget about that, you know. One, I Want to Live. You know Joe Clear, obviously, Richie. We had him on, and you know, Joe's one of those guys who's been around punk rock a long time, and he's a hard worker. Joe's a worker.
Yeah, he's an old coot, ain't he?
Yeah, he's all right. He's all right. And I just wanted to let him know that he was appreciated. You know what I mean? Because years and years and years, the Queers have been around. I've got to see them, and that they were an influence. And so my friend Mark
Joe,
Wilkins,
Joe loves the business to this day. He's still like a little boy,
like
he was 40 years ago. He really loves touring. He loves entertaining.
He's a great guy. That band is they're a very good band too. Those songs they're awesome. You know what I mean? He's one of those dudes that he would have fit right in back in the day. You know what I mean? Like he would have fit right in. And
I jumped on stage with them 2 weeks ago at the Whiskey in LA.
Nice.
I played 2 songs at the end of the show, so it was fun.
One of the coolest things that ever. I was on YouTube watching a video of you. You were singing, and it was the Queers kind of, and there's like a fight on the stage and shit, and like Joe was right beneath me commenting, so I ended up talking to him right there. It was a coincidence because he was on the show 2 days before, so it was just like a weird coincidence. You know what I mean? That happened, but we had a good laugh about that, and where do you originally hail from, Rich? You're from New Jersey, correct?
Passaic.
I'm sorry?
Passaic, New Jersey.
Passaic, New Jersey.
Passaic, P-A-S-S, Clifton.
Oh, okay. All right.
Very close, 10 miles from New York City.
Okay.
Oh, okay. What was it like growing up there? Was it like, what were your what got you into wanting to play drums and just music, period? Was it, you said, your older brother was into like funk and like playing,
my older brother was a musician. He was a horn player. He played sax, still plays, incredible. So, I don't know, Clifton, Passaic, we were just middle-class families from suburbia, I wasn't one of these, misfit musicians, you know what I'm saying? I had, a lovely upbringing with a lovely mother and father and a nice home to live in, blah, blah, blah. And, but what they did, there were 5 siblings, back then there was no video games or nothing. So they made each child pick an instrument as they got old enough to learn, because that gave you a sense of responsibility and practice and all that stuff. My brother picked the saxophone, I picked the drums, and then, my other sisters picked piano and flute and all that, but they never stayed with it. But my brother did, and I did, I picked the drums. I used to always walk around like this and beat on things. And so that's why I did that. So it was up to them, and I remember like being in school and all the sports people wanted me for like sports and basketball and football, because I'm 6'3", I'm built, but I was always that musician guy. So, that's what they did. That's how we got into music. You know what I'm saying?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So naturally, I went to what my brother was listening, from Tower Power to all that kind of stuff, which evolved into Jimi Hendrix. He was around during the Woodstock, and I was 5 years younger than him. So imagine being 7 and he's 12, 13 buying records. So I was influenced very young by all kinds of, from Led Zeppelin to all that stuff. Music, late 60s, 70s. It was crazy. Music kept evolving so much then over all those years, even into the 70s, even into the 80s when the British wave came. It seems like that doesn't happen anymore. It's kind of just like this thing of, not that it's a bad thing, get up crazy, but that's just what it is. It's not like it's not moving anywhere. Maybe there can be nothing new anymore. I don't know. Maybe we wrote all the notes. There's no more notes left.
They put all the chords together, man. I've often thought the same thing though. It's like stagnant almost. Like there's no progression anymore. Nothing new nothing new that you like anyway. There's new stuff, but it's recycled old stuff. And
what's taken, I think too many bands, Well, all the new music is on clicks, everything's so perfect. And I think that took away a little bit of the soul from music. It can't be so perfect like that, and what all the kids listen to and the pop and all that. It's all exactly metered rather than, we were listening to stuff AM radio. It wasn't metered like that, Young Rascals and stuff like that, It had the soul, it had the little bit of movement that you can move around a little bit, and that's what music was about. There was no come. If you know how to play around the click and not play like this, you can play the click, but you have to know how to move around the click. So there's movement, when you're recording in the studio. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Play like that. You're gonna move around it and get back to it. Let it be your little Bible in the background of your ear. You're never gonna go a whole beat off. Then you suck and you should get another job. But you know what I'm saying?
No, absolutely. I think you gotta, like with music, you gotta let it breathe. You can't kind of chase it down into a corner and then like hold it there. You gotta kind of exactly like you're saying, it's gotta move around, it's gotta be able to breathe. Mm-hmm. Now with that, we're saying like music progression, we're talking about things progressing and things like that. What did you think of punk rock when you first heard it?
Well, when I first heard it, probably 1976, Dover, New Jersey, the Ramones. And I brought friends from high school there, and like, I was very intrigued by it. I was like, wow, this is something different. I always remember that night, Joey up there, singing, want to be your boyfriend, like Tommy on drums, I was, I just finished high school. It was probably the year after high school. So this was more in suburbia, Dover, New Jersey, that coming there. At that time, we were looking at glam bands, glam metal and, glam bands and, horn bands. So I was interested. Some of my friends said, "Oh, let's go ahead enough," and we watched it. And Yes was around. People were listening to Yes and all that. We all listened to that stadium rock stuff. I did. I listened to everything. I didn't care. So it was different, but it was intriguing. And it's so odd that how many years later, 7 years later, I actually was in a band. Very freaky. So.
That is freaky.
And then, not even being a fanboy, that once you get in that band, you really understand. Now that I was emotionally involved with every chord of all the songs, changed my life and made me a huge fan.
Yeah.
I'm really happy that I didn't miss out on the Ramones in life.
They're those early records, they do have it. They have a special kind of thing, people. Yeah. People have a love that I'm of the opinion with the Ramones. You if you love the Ramones, you deeply you know what I mean, and there's something about just that whole sound that I was a young kid and it kicked me right in the ass, and I was like, oh wow, this is great. His voice was a big part of it for me, I think, and then that beat, just the chart, it just doesn't stop, and it keeps moving. And you always knew you were going to get some quality music. I don't know too many bad Ramones songs. I can't really name one. So it was great. It was great. And
voice. That voice. Forget about it. Everything was.
I know
that voice. There's only a handful of singers that as soon as you hear, you know who it is, and that's Joey.
Yeah.
Joey, what was he like, Richie? What was he? He seemed like he was a pretty decent individual, huh?
Yeah, of course.
That's what it seemed like.
Joey was great. Joey and I hung out for 5 years every night, whether we were on the road or at home. We were very, very, very close.
He seemed like he was a good man.
Basically, it was me, Joey, Mickey Lee, his brother, and Richie Starts from the Plasmatics. We used to go out a lot. And what I loved about I was the shortest at 6'3", so I never had to look down those nights. Starts was like 6'8", Joey 6'5", Mickey 6'5". I don't know. It was a big group of boys. We were tall.
Nobody was
so I never had to look down at anybody. I was always looking up. When you get in an elevator, it's like, wow.
You know, that I read the quote that I'd read, you know, that I talked about here a little bit ago from Joey. I had read that from Mickey's book. Mickey had a book about Joey, and it was pretty heartfelt book, you know, and that quote was in that book. Speaking of books, you just you know, you have one out. It's called I Know Better. How was that making that?
I Know Better Now. Oh, it was fabulous. You know, I wasn't sure about it. I was approached by different people for a long time. Finally, I said, okay. Peter Aaron, you know, who wrote it with me. He's from my old stomping ground growing up as a kid, you know. And so it worked out well. It took about 2 years. It was very difficult remembering all the stories and getting the timelines right. So I relied on a lot of people to get that right. You know,
Sure.
If it's a little foggy, I wanted to make sure it was correct and leave nothing out. And it's a really good book. He got my voice, you know. He got my voice because I talk in very short sentences. So when you read this book, it sounds like you're sitting next to me in a bar telling a story. And that was important to me rather than someone manuscripting in their voice. So, and we would talk and I'd send him things and talk and record. And it was a process, a big process. You know, like halfway through, I was like,
tedious.
Huh?
It seems like it would be a very tedious process to do an autobiography. You know, it just seems like it would be a lot of work.
Yeah. All good stuff. Work. Come on. You got to work to have, you know, good fun stuff. None of this comes easy. You know, songwriting's work. You know what I'm saying? You want to write a song, you got to get to work. You're not writing the song, you know. I mean, you got to work at it, you know. They call it writer's block. No, it's not writer's block. It's just you're not going in a room, sitting there for 3 hours, playing the guitar and writing a song. You're just hoping that it comes to you as you're driving your car down the road. Doesn't work that way. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, everything is like that. You know, if you don't put in the time or effort, you know, you're not going to get what you want. And clearly you put the time and effort in. You're still doing it, man. I mean, you know, you've also added, you know, you're a good front man, Richie. I mean, honestly, you know, you're a good front man too. And then you're drumming and, you know, the tours you had with Joe and everything else. I mean, you know, you're still out there, and you know, it's good that you are, because, you know, other than CJ, I don't know how we would hear any of this music anymore if it wasn't for you, you know. So, you know, you have my deepest appreciation. You know,
it's gonna come to an end soon where there'll be no more Ramones anymore, you know. It's gonna be the end of an era. You know, I don't know when that is, but
hopefully not too soon.
It'll happen.
Not anytime soon.
No, that's cool, baby.
You know, that's the day I don't want to. You guys, like I said, or I touched on earlier, when you're a Ramones fan, it's a very deep appreciation of a band. You know, it seems like, you know, to some people, I've tried to explain this to you, and they just don't get it. You know, girlfriends or, you know, whatever, friends, whatever. You know, they don't get it, and you're like, man, you know, they're all wearing leather jackets and you know. I'm like, dude, that's badass. Like they invented cool, man. Like you don't, you know, you don't know what you're talking about. Trying to, you know, it's like anything. You try to convince somebody of something, you know what I mean? You either get it or you don't. And I think the people that get it really get it, you know. And I just I really appreciate it all, man. I just think that, you know, me and him wouldn't be sitting here without the Ramones. I mean, I know we would. So, you know, that I will say that. You know, what was it like, you know, just hanging out with like Johnny, for instance? Did you ever get to really hang out with him, or was he kind of off doing his own thing?
In the beginning, Johnny, you know, we hung out. We would go, you know, he's a big baseball freak. So certain cities we get to, we could catch a few innings of a ball game. We'd go, you know, certain different ballparks, which was fun. And but Johnny was, you know, definitely the recluse of the band. You know, he'd get his hotel room on a different floor than the rest of the band. He never really saw him except on stage or at rehearsal. You know, that was just his thing, and I respected that. And you know,
yeah.
So And, driving in the van, which we drove in the van a lot. So you always.
Yeah, I've read the stories of Mickey's book. If I was like, holy shit, man! Like, you guys did some real tough traveling, man.
Yeah, okay. It was nice. Joey and I had the back lounge. That's where we lay.
Nice.
And always used to listen. We had cassettes then that you put in the trucks, lighting and audio, or whatever. And because you remember back then, all these clubs really didn't have sufficient PA systems. You had to bring your own. Now, some of these clubs have some heavy duty stuff installed. You don't need much. But we would drag everything in, stacks everywhere, all the amps on 10. It didn't matter if the room held 500 or 5,000. The stage volume was still the same for Joey, poor thing. It was as loud as it could be.
When you see everything now,
the first one we did have a bus,
That's cool. That what I kept reading was just like bands, and I was almost shocked. I'm like, man, especially Jody had some back problems. I was like, man, how are they putting him in a van? And that had to be brutal for him.
All right. Most bands today, either we had a bus and we had a Holiday Inn. So today, if you travel in a bus, usually the band sleep on that bus, and once a week, maybe a hotel room or to wash up, or I don't know how that works. I like having a hotel room every night. I just jump in an SUV with my band and we go. So that's how we do it.
That's what's up. I mean, that sounds nice. So now you see everything these days. I'm sorry, Trevor. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, speaking of touring and your band, I see you guys had to postpone your tour until March. Is it?
I postponed. I didn't have to. But
well,
the new normal. The new normal is still new.
Yeah.
You're gonna play one night and they get the vax card. The other night you got to have the test 24. I'm still hoping by late March, like it becomes a little more new normal and all this relaxes, because and I talked to everybody who's been on the road. Some are good shows, some are bad, but it's going to limit the audience for me. And for me to sell out, I need all the stars to align. You know what I'm saying? I don't need 30% of my audience. And let's face it, I don't draw 25-year-olds for that. You know what I'm saying? Not that. I have more. You know what I'm saying? The 25-year-olds are coming with their parents.
Yeah.
Because they turned them on to punk rock and stuff like that, which is cool.
Yeah.
So I thought it was the right thing to do. I wanted to wait, because even now, I'm in Jersey. Travel is so horrible. Everything is just really rough now. It's hard to go anywhere or do anything. It's still difficult.
It's very difficult.
And it's taking a long time to adjust. So, March isn't that far away, 3-4 months, so I hope it's all going to work out again, because I don't want to, constantly be canceling. And I didn't want to, like contribute to whatever, I'm out front there. I want to come out and meet the kids and meet everybody after the show and hug them and autograph them. Autograph shit for them. If you take that away from me, that's not fair to them, So it's just, and if I do it, why? Why am I not for me, just for like other people? It's bidding on them as I'm singing, it was just a nightmare. So
it really has been.
I apologize for I apologize for keep postponing, but I'm writing really good material. I got a new single coming out, Not Afraid, and more movies that I've been in. So it's gonna 2022 is gonna be a good year for me. It's gonna be fun.
About the movies, how are you liking acting, man? You're pretty good at it. What do you think?
I really like it. It really gave me something new to focus on, and it gets me reading more. I've done more. I've done a Friday the 13th Vengeance 2, which is a fan-based film coming out next year. Also, Protege Moi, where I play a vampire that'll be out next year. And I wrote the song for that. So it's kind of fun. These aren't, A-list movies, but making movies is fun. So
I mean,
I
they're
enjoyed
movies. People don't get to do that.
Yeah, I wanted to be good. If I was just making it because they were giving me a bag of Cheetos, I don't want to do it, just because I'm Richie Ramone, I don't want to do it. I want to make sure I'm good. And I've been told that, I've had cameramen, who do bigger people go, wow, that was really good. So it's kind of fun because it's something new. I feel like I'm 18 learning another instrument or something,
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing.
Hey, you
Yeah,
always
man, I thought that was
always got to
great.
keep yourself learning.
Yeah,
I thought that
feel
was
like
great.
it's another new page in my career. I'm an old dude now. It's kind of weird, but so
You got
this
to
is
give that
another new
the
page.
cat, Richie. When I talked to you, when we first talked, we were messaging on Facebook. I told you, I said, man, you're getting movies, you got the book now, man. You're doing music. I mean, you're kind of a renaissance man, Richie. You're really expanded like your sphere of, like, you know what I mean? Like these conventions, you do a lot of stuff, man. It's impressive, dude.
I think people are, finally getting who I am, and it's taken a long time, since the departure from the Ramones to now. It's been a long time, and they're finally understanding who I am. I'm talking more about Ramones fans and stuff like that, and what my soul is really. And they, I've explained all this in my book, how this really went down, and they get it. So I went in a complete circle here, That's how I feel personally.
That's amazing. When you see, like, now, like for instance, like the Spider-Man movie or something like that, and you hear, like Blitzkrieg Bop, or like, a song you played a million times, you hear that in a movie, and like you see like these, like you see people and they're like, enjoying it or whatever. Like it comes down through through time now, like you have to feel a pretty good sense of accomplishment. You know what I mean? Like, how do you feel about that? Like the legacy?
I don't know. I love Spider-Man. I don't even know if I saw that one, but I heard the song. The whole thing has been, come on, I've been blessed. You know what I'm saying? I've been blessed.
Yeah, man.
I don't know much about the 90s Ramones. You know what I'm saying? I don't know much about that material that much, I know I Want to Live was a fabulous song. And after that album, before it even came out, I split. So that's why they made that other video. But I don't know a real lot of that material from the later years,
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, but I've heard Spider-Man and Pet Sematary. I guess Pet Sematary was probably the best after.
Well, what I was saying was the new Spider-Man movie has Blitzkrieg Bop in it, and like it seems like they're starting to put the Ramones in like these like large budget movies and commercial, just stuff that is almost like, you wouldn't think that you would hear them in, but then when you do, it's kind of, to me, it's weird, I guess, but there's like a legacy there, and I think it's almost good for people to hear it because it keeps it alive, it keeps it around, it keeps it in people's ears, And I was just kind of wondering how you felt about that, like the music being like in commercials and movies and things like that.
Why would I feel negative about it? That's fantastic. I mean, it's fantastic that people wear the T-shirt and not know who the band is either. It's all good.
I understand that, but so yeah, I almost was going to ask that. Like,
why make like this whole thing about all this? That's great. There's cash coming in. There's my top three. Well, I know the top three recognizable. Number one is CBGB. Number two is the Ramones. Number three is Misfits. I think those are the three T-shirts. And you got with the Rolling Stones, and with the top thing. But
oh yeah.
But CBGBs, they still sell like millions of T-shirts a year. Millions.
Crazy, man.
That's what Hilly's daughter lives on, that business. It's millions of T-shirts. So all the power to them.
That's awesome.
I'm not gonna
I
like
think,
get all crazy about any one thing, you know. So
right. Yeah, I think people get upset about things that are just, you can't do anything about it. These things have been part of pop culture now, and our lives for years and years and years now. So they're going to get appropriated by people. They're going to get used in ways that you may not agree with or whatever. But ultimately with the Ramones, I feel like anytime that I hear those songs anywhere, I feel like it's a win because it keeps it out there. It keeps it alive. So it to me, that's I would figure it'd be a win.
they've done plenty. Ramones have been in plenty of TV commercials, so it's fine. It's all good. They're timeless.
Cool.
He wrote timeless songs. It's when you listen to Ramone songs, they're not dated.
No, they're not.
Like some songs you listen to and oh yeah, that I know exactly when that was from, 83, Not the Ramones. They're timeless. It'll go on forever and ever and ever. They'll always be there because they were innovators. They, invented this sound.
They sure did.
And that's what sets you apart from everyone else.
That's great, Richie. And with that, I don't want to keep you any longer. I appreciate the time you've given us tonight. I can't thank you enough. I can't thank you enough. This has been one of the best talks I've had with we've been doing this, Richie, now since I've been doing it since the end of 2020, I think is when I interviewed Chris, maybe, or March of 2021 this year. And we've done now 54 or 55 of these things. And we're now booked for the next 2 months. It's just like crazy. Like things have gotten really crazy for me and Trevor. And sit here and be talking to a Ramone, I am beyond grateful. And I just wanted to thank you, for your time and just for being part of that legacy, man. Like being there, and it was a huge thing for me, So I really appreciate it, Richie. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Richie. You take care.
All right, man. You guys take care. RichieRamone.com for all the latest. Catch me on tour. Boom.
Heck yeah.
Now everybody get yourself some good fucking wine.
Nice.
That's awesome, dude.
I love it. All
right, love you guys.
All right.
Yeah, we're doing follow-up. All right, we're doing follow-up in 6 months during my tour. All right.
Sounds awesome. Sounds awesome, Richie.
I'll put it on the calendar right now.
All right.
Thank you so much, man.
Cheers, brother.
Have a good night.
All right.
And this is